Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something really fundamental. It affects pretty much everything you might want to achieve.
Right, like think about sticking to that gym routine or, finally getting that side hustle off the ground.
Exactly. We're talking about motivation.
And it's tricky, isn't it? We all feel that internal push sometimes, that drive to act, but wow, it can feel so unpredictable.
Yeah, like it just vanishes sometimes. So the big question for our deep dive today is what is motivation, really? And why does it fluctuate so much? Why isn't it just there when we need it?
We want to get under the hood,
Hmm.
look at the science, and maybe find some practical strategies that actually work.
Definitely, because it's not just this vague feeling. There are real psychological forces at play. We'll touch on the two main types people talk about. First, intrinsic motivation.
Uh-huh. That's the one that comes from inside, right?
Right.
Like you do it because you enjoy it or it feels meaningful or
Yeah.
just satisfying in itself.
Precisely. And then there's the other kind.
Extrinsic motivation.
Right.
So that's driven by outside stuff, rewards, pressure. Think money, praise, or maybe just try not to get told off.
Okay. External versus internal.
And what's interesting is, well, the research seems pretty clear. Those external things, they can work, sure, for a bit, but for the long haul.
It's the internal drive.
Yeah, that intrinsic motivation seems to be the real engine. Much more sustainable.
Okay, makes sense. So let's get into the science then. There's a big framework people use to understand this, right? Self-determination theory.
Yes, exactly. SDT. It's really influential. And what's cool about it is that it roots motivation in these fundamental psychological needs we all have.
Needs. Like basic human stuff.
Pretty much. It argues that if three core needs are met, our intrinsic motivation, that inner fire, really starts to burn brightly.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the first one?
The first is autonomy.
Autonomy.
Yeah, the feeling that you're in control, that you have a say in what you're doing, your choices. It's like feeling you're the one steering the ship, not just being told where to go.
Ah, okay. That resonates. I mean, nobody likes feeling micromanaged, right? It totally kills your enthusiasm.
Exactly, that feeling of being forced. Big motivation killer.
So autonomy is number one. What's number two?
Competence. This is about feeling effective, capable, like you're actually good at what you're doing, or at least, getting better, making progress.
Right, that's satisfaction when you finally nail something tricky or you see yourself improving over time.
That's it. That's competence fueling you. That, hey, I can actually do this feeling. It's powerful.
Definitely. Okay, so we have autonomy being in control, competence feeling capable. What's the third part of this trio?
The third is relatedness.
Relate it.
It's that sense of connection, feeling like you belong, that you matter to others, or that what you're doing connects you to something bigger than yourself, like a larger purpose.
Connection. So feeling understood, valued by people around you, or maybe that your work contributes to a team or a cause.
Precisely. All of that feeds into relatedness.
So, okay, let's put this together. If you're listening and feeling stuck, like your motivation has just tanked,
Yeah.
it might be worth asking. Am I feeling autonomous here? Do I
Yeah.
feel in control? Do I feel competent, like I'm making progress? And do I feel connected? Is that relatedness piece there?
That's exactly the idea. Often, that lack of drive, that sort of meh feeling, it could be a sign that one of these basic needs isn't being met.
And trying to address that need might be way more effective than just trying to, willpower your way through it.
Absolutely. It's about finding the root cause, not just treating the symptom.
Okay, that's super helpful. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about some common ideas about motivation. Myths, maybe. Things we think are true but aren't helping us.
Oh, yeah, there are definitely a few of those.
The big one I always hear is you have to feel motivated first. Like you wait for the feeling to strike before you start.
Ah, yes. The wait for the muse myth. It's so common. But what's funny is that it often works the other way around. Action can actually create motivation. Seriously,
Yeah.
just starting, even doing the tiniest piece of the task.
Like just opening the document or putting on your running shoes.
Exactly. That small action can generate a little spark, a sense of progress, maybe a touch of that competence we talked about,
Yeah.
and that can ignite more motivation to continue. It's about kickstarting the engine.
So you don't wait for motivation, you generate it through action. That flips the script a bit.
It really does. Start small, get moving, and the feeling might just follow.
Okay, myth busted. What's another common misconception?
How about the idea that motivation should be constant? Like if you're truly passionate, you should feel fired up 2004/7.
Oh, definitely. People beat themselves up if they have an off day, thinking it means they've lost it or they don't care enough.
Right. But that's just not realistic. Motivation is more like like your energy levels or your mood. It naturally ebbs and flows.
So it's normal to have days where you feel really driven and others where it feels
Like wading through treacle.
Yeah.
Totally normal. Expecting constant high motivation sets you up for disappointment. It's part of being human, not a sign of failure.
Good reminder. Don't get discouraged by the dips. They're part of the process. Okay, what about discipline? How does that fit in with motivation? Are they enemies? Friends?
Huh? Good question. I'd say they're partners, definitely complementary, but they do different jobs.
Okay.
Motivation is often that initial spark, right? The thing that gets you excited, gets you started. But discipline is what keeps you going when that initial excitement inevitably fades.
So discipline carries you through the dips in motivation.
Exactly. Discipline is about building the habits, the structure, the routines that ensure you keep making progress towards your goals, even on those days when you're just not feeling it. Motivation gets you started, discipline keeps you going.
They work together. You need both for long-term stuff.
Precisely. They're a team.
All right, this is great. We've looked at the core needs behind motivation, debunked some unhelpful myths. Now, let's get really practical. What are some strategies backed by this science that people can actually use to boost their motivation?
Okay, action time. One really powerful technique is about goal setting, but with a twist. Focus on setting ridiculously small, achievable goals.
Smaller than you'd think.
Yeah, almost laughably small sometimes. Instead of write the whole report, maybe it's just write the first paragraph, or even open the file and write one sentence.
Okay. Why so small?
Because it lowers the barrier to starting, right? It
Yeah.
feels less overwhelming. And here's the crucial part. When you complete that tiny goal, you have to actively acknowledge it. Celebrate that small win,
Like literally pat yourself on the back.
maybe. Or just consciously recognize, okay, I did that. Each tiny success builds that feeling of competence we talked about. Creates momentum. It's like, okay, that wasn't so bad. Maybe I can do the next small step.
Creating a positive feedback loop. Small win, feel good. More likely to do next step. I like it. What else?
Another one, kind of clever, is called temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. Sounds intriguing.
It is. The basic idea is you link something you want to do with something you should do, but maybe you're procrastinating on.
Okay, give me an example.
All right, say you really want to listen to your favorite podcast or audiobook, but you need to, I don't know, clean the kitchen.
Right.
Temptation bundling means you only allow yourself to listen to that podcast while you're cleaning the kitchen.
So you're pairing the desirable activity with the less desirable one, using
Right.
the fun thing as bait, almost.
Exactly. You leverage that existing desire, that extrinsic reward of the enjoyable activity, to get yourself started on the task you're avoiding. It's a bit like hacking your own reward system.
That is clever. Okay, small goals, temptation bundling.
Yeah.
Any other practical tips?
Definitely. Tracking your progress.
Yeah,
Don't underestimate the power of seeing how far you've come.
like keeping a log or using an app.
Yeah, or even just, a simple checklist, ticking things off. Or maybe a chart showing your progress towards a bigger goal. Seeing that visual evidence of your effort.
It reinforces that competence thing again.
Absolutely. It makes your progress tangible. It shows you're moving forward, which is a huge motivator to keep going. It proves to yourself that the effort is paying off.
Makes sense. That visual feedback can be really powerful. Okay, one more. What about other people? Does that play a role?
A massive role. We often overlook the social side of motivation. Remember relatedness.
Right, that need for connection.
Well, our connections, our social environment can be a huge source of motivation. We're social animals, after all.
So how does that translate into a strategy?
It could mean finding an accountability partner, someone with similar goals you check in with, or joining a group, a class, a community centered around what you're trying to do.
Like a running club or a writing group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or even just sharing your goals with supportive friends or family. Knowing others are aware, maybe even cheering you on, adds that layer of relatedness, that external encouragement. It makes you feel less alone in the effort.
Don't underestimate the power of community and support. Got it.
Yeah, it taps right into that fundamental need.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What we've really uncovered in this deep dive is that motivation isn't some magical force field that's either on or off.
Right. It's not mystical. It's deeply tied to whether our core psychological needs are being met. autonomy, competence, relatedness.
And importantly, it's something we can actually influence. We don't just have to wait for it. Challenging those myths, like needing to feel motivated first, is key. Action can actually build the feeling.
Exactly. And hopefully you, listening, now have a toolkit of practical things you can try. Breaking goals down super small.
Celebrating those tiny wins.
Temptation bundling, pairing the fun with the necessary.
Tracking your progress so you can see it.
And leveraging social support, finding your people.
It seems like we actually have more control over our own motivation than maybe we thought, whether it's for, huge life goals or just getting the laundry done.
You really do. Understanding these principles gives you levers you can pull.
So, maybe a final thought to leave everyone with. Take a moment to think about the things you're trying to motivate yourself for. How well do they currently satisfy those needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness?
Yeah, where's the alignment? Where might there be a mismatch?
Understanding that interplay, combined with these practical strategies we discussed, could be a really powerful way to navigate your goals and, well, get things done. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.